formally on Tuesday, and it is my sincere hope that our recommendations, which I think are brilliant and also very expensive, and that's where the challenge might come, I sincerely hope that the British public will warmly accept them, and that the government, whichever government it will be, will translate our intentions into action during the few years to come. And bearing in mind the fact that we're now marking during these days the 70th anniversary of the conclusion of the Shoah, I think it's important, particularly bearing in mind events of the last few weeks in Europe, that we should focus on the lessons of the Holocaust for us today. And I believe that there are three prime lessons. The first is to notice signals. There are some people who are saying that what we're going through today is comparable to the 1930s. I don't believe that that is the case. Yes, there is a rise in anti-Semitism. Yes, we need to acknowledge the challenges that we have, but what we're enduring today is certainly not like the 1930s. However, there is one important lesson we can learn from that time, and that is when evil is carried out by a specific number of people, we as a society cannot turn the other cheek. We have to confront it, we have to recognize it for what it is, and we mustn't only treat the crimes, we must treat the causes of the crimes and openly acknowledge the influences of people which are coming from certain sources, and to tackle those sources directly. And it is critical that we do that as soon as possible. Just 2 Sundays ago, I was in Paris at the invitation of the Chief Rabbi of France, Rabbi Chaim Corsia, and I spent the day with him, marching on the streets of Paris together with more than 3 million people. And then later that evening, I officiated together with him at that memorable memorial service in the great synagogue in Paris. And it was there that I sensed how united people were in their desire to confront not only these crimes, but the causes of the crimes. And then there is a second lesson. It's education. How important it is for us to educate Jewish people and also non-Jewish people about the Shoah. When it comes to Jewish children, you know, our children growing up today, they will, please God, become the grandparents and great-grandparents of children who will be living 150 years after the Shoah. And we want them to be able to say, we once heard from a survivor of the Holocaust what they actually experienced, in order that they can continue to convey that message of the horrors of the past, so that people recognize that what took place there was unique. Sure enough, there have been other genocides, and yes, other horrific crimes have taken place. The Shoah was unique, and God forbid that anybody should make a comparison between the Holocaust and the suffering of any other people. Because if society doesn't recognize that anti-Semitism is something special, it's a brand of racism that stands out on its own, if we don't recognize that, then we cannot treat it appropriately. And fortunately, in this country, the fight against anti-Semitism is taking place from the government down, because it is recognized that a threat to the Jewish people is a threat to all of our society. And then there is a third lesson that I believe we have to learn from the Shoah today. It's the importance of carrying out good deeds, because the only true antidote to evil is goodness. So the more mitzvahs people perform, the more genuine acceptance of others that takes place. The fact that we can reach out to other people with kindness, with compassion, recognizing the fact that everybody's created in the image of God, to break down barriers in order to connect with others, whether they're part of our faith or not, that is so crucially important. You know, in the laws of kashrus, in the parasha of Shmini, when it comes to birds, there are no signs that are given. For animals, there are 2 signs. For fish, there are 2 signs. But for birds, we're given a list of treif birds. And one of the birds that's on the list is called ha-chasidah. Ha-chasidah, that is the Hebrew term for a stork. What an amazing name. Chasidah means the pious one. What an incredible name for a stork, for a bird to have. The pious one, the chasidah, the chassid. How did it get that name? So the Talmud explains that the stork is a very kind bird. It shares its food with others. So the Ramban A medieval Spanish scholar asked, well then why is it on the list of trafe birds? If it's so kind and if it shares its food, those birds which are on the list of the trafe birds, they are birds of prey. What's it doing there? And he answers by saying, the chassidah, the stork, only shares its food with birds of its own feather. Towards other birds, towards other creatures, it acts with disdain and with cruelty. So therefore it is kind, but only within its own circle. Towards others, it is cruel. And as a result, it is trafe. And I think the message is for us ourselves. It's all very nice within our own circles to extend kindness, to reach out in solidarity, to be compassionate. But if we close that circle and we couldn't care about those outside of our circle, that is a trafe way of living. And consequently, we need, with compassion, to engage in good deeds within our own Jewish circles and beyond our Jewish circles, in order to help in Tikkun Olam to make this into a better world. And when it comes to viewing life and the objectives of life and what we can achieve, seeing as this is the very first time that I am giving an address at a golf course, I would like to use golf as an example for how we can live well. You see, a golf course is a symbol of life. There are 18 holes and 18 is time, which is life. So the 18 holes of a golf course represent all of life. And it's great in life, because you have one phase, that's like one hole, and then you play another, and then you play another. Maybe I wasn't so good as a pupil, but then I can go on to be a student. Maybe I wasn't so good there, but maybe in business. You know, at each stage of life, you've got an opportunity to correct, to do better, to move forward. And then during life, the way the Almighty works is that sometimes we're on the fairways, everything is brilliant, no problems at all. But then unexpectedly we find ourselves in the rough and we have huge challenges. Sometimes we have those bunker experiences which are enormously challenging. Sometimes we arrive there and we're just putting for glory 2 feet away and we squander those opportunities and it goes wide. Sometimes we're schlemiels and we can't help it. Sometimes we rise to an occasion and we do brilliantly. But I must tell you that there is one significant difference between our Jewish way of life and understanding of life and a round of golf. And I'll tell you what it is. You see, at the end of a round of golf, you come into the clubhouse and you go through your card and you tot up all your scores, and there you are, you've got your final result. The way you played holes 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the way you played, it can't be altered. But in our tradition, we have a concept called tshuva. Tshuva means that at any stage in life, I can make a U-turn. And when I engage in tshuva, in repentance, God so brilliantly just wipes the slate clean. So all those misdemeanors of the past, all those times I was in the rough, all the times I squandered opportunities and I didn't achieve the goals set out for me, if I am absolutely determined to move forward constructively and to ask for forgiveness for where I went wrong, God gives me an opportunity to start from scratch. It's the most incredible phenomenon. You know, there's a story of a very naughty child, and he got up to all kinds of problems. And then his father thought of a way to teach him a lesson. So the father, in the dining room, put up a long plank. And he said to his son, every time you do something that's naughty, I'm going to knock a nail into the plank. And I hope that I won't be knocking many nails. So the kid was naughty, in goes a nail. Naughty, nail, nail, nail. And then after a while the kid thought, wow, here is this plank, and everybody coming to the house can see. And he changed his ways. And after a while, his father said, you know something, you've been so good, I'm going to remove all the nails from the plank. He removed all the nails, and the kid started out to cry. The father says, why are you crying? All the nails have been removed. Yes, said the boy, but I can still see those holes where the nails used to be. Can't you remove the holes, please, Daddy? The father said, I can't do that. Now, the power of tshuva is that not only does God remove the nails, but you can't see the holes anymore. The plank is as it was when we started out. And therefore, we are given an incredible opportunity, midstream within the course of our lives, at whatever point it is, to start afresh and anew. It's the most wonderful opportunity that God actually provides for us. So therefore, put all together, it is so important for us to have connections with others, always to be establishing what there is in common between us, whether these people are part of our family, part of our community, part of the Jewish world, part of all of society. It's so important for us, for our compassion, unlike the stork, to reach outwards in our efforts to correct the world. It's so important now, as we are commemorating 70 years since the end of the Holocaust, that we guarantee that the memory of those who perished will live on through the good deeds that we carry out, through the education that we provide for the generations that will come, and also through recognizing evil for what it is and confronting it in order to nip it in the bud before it actually, God forbid, will spin out of control. And ultimately, we pray that the Almighty will help us as individuals and as families and as communities as we move through our journey of life. Please God, may He allow us to be on those fairways, to stay clear of bunkers, that even if we get into the rough, may He assist us to rise to those challenges, to achieve our goals and objectives, so that ultimately when we arrive in that heavenly clubhouse, He will go through our card and He'll say, congratulations, Yeshua, you were really good. And it's on that note I want to conclude, to say to all of you, congratulations, Yeshua, you are really good. You've got a fantastic community, great rabbi, wonderful lay leaders, part of our marvelous United Synagogue family, and may you all, as the part of our community, only go Mechael El Chayil, from strength to strength in the future. Thank you very much.